Imagine a world where a small pill or peptide boosts your brain power, speeds up healing, or even extends your lifespan. Biohackers and health enthusiasts are chasing that dream with peptides like NAD boosters and BPC 157, and nootropics like methylene blue, plant adaptogens, and Racetams compounds. These substances are trending. The peptide supplement market hit about $3.7 billion in 2024 and is growing around 10% annually, and the global nootropic market topped $2.3 billion in 2024. But amid the hype, what is real science and what is overblown marketing? In this video, we'll cut through the noise with clear, evidence-based info, anecdotes, and expert findings so you can judge the truth. You'll learn what peptides and nootropics are, which ones people actually use, how and whether they work, and crucial safety, legal points. If you're new to biohacking or simply curious, buckle up. We're going deep into the data, honestly and in plain language. At the highest level, peptides are short chains of amino acids, the building blocks of proteins, that can have powerful biological effects. In supplements or research, peptides like BPC 157, a 15 amino acid body protection compound from stomach juice, or NAD boosters such as nicotinamide mononucleotide, NMN, and nicotinamide riboside, NR, are used to try to enhance recovery, metabolism, and aging. Nootropics, sometimes called smart drugs or cognitive enhancers, are diverse compounds claimed to boost brain function, alertness, memory, focus, or mood. This category includes synthetic molecules like the Racetams, e.g. pyracetam, dyes like methylene blue, and natural adaptogens, herbal remedies like Rhodiola or Ashwagandha. Why the buzz? People seek better recovery from workouts or injuries, sharper thinking at work or school, and ways to feel younger longer. Genetic testing and personal health data give the dream of a custom-tailored stack of supplements for each person. But is this science or snake oil? Throughout this video, we will unpack studies, user experiences, and safety data for each major player. And remember, natural doesn't always mean safe, and trending doesn't mean proven. We'll point out both promise and pitfalls. Figure: the structure of NAD, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, a vital coenzyme in metabolism. NAD is found in every cell, shuttling electrons in energy production. Levels of NAD naturally decline with age, which has led scientists and supplement companies to explore ways to boost it. Two leading NAD boosters are NMN, nicotinamide mononucleotide, and NR, nicotinamide riboside, both precursors the body can convert into NAD. What does science say about NMN and NR? In animals, boosting NAD has shown many benefits: better metabolism, endurance, and even longer life in some worms, mice. But human trials are crucial. A recent well-designed 60-day clinical trial in healthy middle-aged adults tested NMN, 300-900 mg daily. The results were encouraging. Blood NAD levels significantly rose in all NMN groups, up to 900 mg compared to placebo. Participants also walked farther on a 6-minute walk test, a measure of endurance when taking NMN. Importantly, no safety issues or serious side effects were seen. NMN at these doses was well tolerated. In fact, the study concluded NMN increases blood NAD and is safe up to 900 mg daily. In plain terms, giving people NMN in controlled settings safely bumped up their cellular NAD and even improved physical stamina a bit. Similarly, NR, Niagen, has been tested. In a 2018 trial, 60 healthy older adults took 1,000 mg NR per day, 500 mg twice daily, for 6 weeks. The study found NR was well tolerated, no serious adverse events, and boosted NAD in blood cells by about 60%. A few people reported mild stomach or headache symptoms, but nothing major. Again, no one dropped out due to the NR supplement. The researchers did see hints that NR might reduce blood pressure slightly in those with higher baseline readings, but results were preliminary. The bottom line, chronic NR at 1G day raised NAD significantly with no big safety red flags. Real or imaginary gains? Are these boosts magic? We have decent evidence now that NAD precursors raise NAD levels in people. That could translate into health benefits long-term, since NAD is central to metabolism and DNA repair, but definitive proof in humans is still emerging. We can say with confidence that NMN and NR do increase NAD and are safe at moderate doses, the cited trials. But there's a catch. These are supervised studies. Supplements on the market can vary in purity. If you try NAD boosters, use a well-known brand and consult a doctor, especially if you have medical issues. Also, high doses of nicotinamide, B3, can sometimes cause flushing or liver stress. So far, these NAD precursors did not in trials, and none of these trials reported serious problems. In summary, NAD boosters are promising and apparently safe at studied doses, but not a proven fountain of youth yet. What about BPC 157? This peptide has exploded on social media as the Wolverine peptide for injury recovery. BPC 157 is derived from gastric juice, hence the name body protection compound, and in rodent studies it speeds healing of tendons, muscles, bones, and even brain tissue. For example, lab rats given BPC 157 healed tendon and nerve injuries much faster and had less inflammation than controls. This sounds great, but here's the honest truth. There are virtually no solid human trials on BPC 157. The only evidence in people is tiny pilot trials, 12-16 people, suggesting it might ease some pain, and no long-term safety data. The U.S. anti-doping agency, USADA, bluntly states there's no legal basis for selling BPC 157 as a supplement and warns it's entirely unproven in humans. Indeed, BPC 157 isn't FDA approved for anything, and it's been banned by sports authorities, WADA, because it could enhance performance, and we simply don't know its risks. So, while athletes on forums rave about how BPC 157 fixed their injury, remember, personal anecdotes are not proof. It's an experimental peptide. Officially, USADA calls BPC 157 a prohibited, unapproved substance that may lead to negative health effects. One review notes only 2 tiny human studies were done, 12 people each, and although no adverse effects were reported, we can draw no definitive conclusions from such scant data. In practice, some doctors and clinics do offer peptide therapy including BPC 157, but this is a gray area legally and medically. If someone tries to sell you BPC 157 as a supplement, especially online without prescription, be very wary. The FDA says it's not a legal supplement. Key points on peptides. NAD plus boosters, NMN and NR, have good early evidence. They raise NAD safely in humans. They seem well tolerated in trials, no severe AEs, and even improved simple metrics like walking distance. BPC 157, on the other hand, has only animal data and is effectively off-label research use in humans. No shortcuts. If you want to try NAD boosters, use quality products. Look for third-party testing. For BPC 157, understand it's experimental and potentially risky, illegal for athletes. Always check regulations and, ideally, go through a medical professional. Biohackers often talk about cognitive enhancers. Let's break down the major players and what science says about each. Methylene blue, MB, is an old dye-turned drug with a surprising sidebar as a nootropic. In tiny doses, well below medical levels, some people claim MB boosts brain energy, memory, and focus. It's a vivid blue color, in fact, and it does affect cellular metabolism. MB can cross into the brain, act on mitochondria, the cell's powerhouses, and even protect nerve cells in lab models. This is why celebrities and podcasters are hyping it. However, the human evidence is very limited. A University of South Carolina scientist points out that while MB has shown benefits in rats, better learning, stroke recovery, Alzheimer's models, human studies have been small and mixed. One trial found a tiny memory boost, 7% from a single low dose, and another saw changes in brain connectivity, but no real thinking improvement. In other words, no clear mental gains in people have been proven yet. Crucially, MB is not harmless. It's actually an FDA-approved drug for conditions like methemoglobinemia, but outside medical use, the dosing is unregulated. There are serious risks. MB is a strong MAO inhibitor, meaning it can dangerously interact with many antidepressants, SSRIs, MAO inhibitors, etc., and cause serotonin syndrome, a life-threatening excess of serotonin. It's also contraindicated in people with G6PD deficiency, a certain blood disorder, and in pregnancy. The bottom line, methylene blue for cognition is an experimental idea at best. A researcher cautions that evidence supporting its health benefits is scant and warns of serious risks if misused. Practical takeaways. If you see MB marketed as a brain pill, be skeptical. A single dose might give a slight boost, but there's no guarantee, and the margin between smart dose and dangerous dose is unclear. Never mix MB with antidepressants, and avoid it if you have any relevant medical conditions. Think of it like an experimental drug rather than a benign supplement. If smart drugs sound scary, many people start with natural adaptogens, herbs that help the body resist stress and fatigue. Well-known adaptogens include Rhodiola rosea, an Arctic plant, and ashwagandha, an Indian herb. These have been used for centuries in folk medicine, and modern studies do suggest some benefits. In controlled trials, adaptogens often show anti-fatigue and mood-lifting effects. For example, research reviews find that adaptogens can increase resilience to stress, reduce mental exhaustion, and improve attention under pressure. One review of dozens of studies concluded that Rhodiola and Ashwagandha are both safe and effective stress busters. However, their strengths differ. Rhodiola tends to be stimulating, helping with mental energy, fatigue, and endurance. It's sometimes used to boost exercise performance and stamina. Ashwagandha is generally more calming, often used to ease anxiety and improve sleep quality. Some specific findings. A number of clinical trials show adaptogens reduced work-related fatigue and boosted capacity for mental tasks under stress. One umbrella analysis notes that adaptogens act on the nervous system to protect against stress hormones and support homeostasis. The industry article also found that both Rhodiola and Ashwagandha increased tolerance to mental strain, e.g., easier math solving after stress. The good news, adaptogens have a strong safety track record. The referenced review explicitly states they are safe and effective for stress, and side effects are usually mild. Some people might feel mild jitteriness from Rhodiola or stomach upset from Ashwagandha if they take too much. One caution. At least one country, Denmark, temporarily banned ashwagandha a few years ago because optimal dosing wasn't clear, but that has since been lifted. Generally, doses used in studies, e.g. 300-600 mg of ashwagandha extract or 100-600 mg rhodiola, are considered safe for adults. As with all supplements, quality matters. Buy from reputable brands and consider consulting a doctor if you have thyroid issues. Ashwagandha can affect thyroid hormone. Key points on adaptogens. They are among the more credible, natural nootropics. Scientific reviews find they do reduce stress and fatigue. Many people report clearer thinking and less anxiety with regular use. Just don't expect superhuman effects. They support normal stress management, not give you Spider-Man powers. Racetams, pyracetam, aniracetam, oxiracetam, etc., are synthetic compounds discovered in the 1960s. Pyracetam was studied as a cognitive enhancer. It appears to increase brain oxygen use and improve microcirculation. It's been used in Europe for cognitive disorders, like dementia, and is generally very well tolerated. Common side effects are rare and mild, insomnia or irritability in a few people. In fact, one review notes, the tolerance of pyracetam is excellent with only rare side effects. But what about healthy brains? The evidence is underwhelming. Studies in Alzheimer's patients showed minimal benefit. For normal users, most data is anecdotal. Some students or professionals report feeling slightly sharper on Racetams, but placebo effects are strong here. There are few modern large trials. Importantly, Racetams, except Racetams, are not approved drugs in the US. They're sold as research chemicals or supplements abroad. They are legal to buy in many places, though sometimes controlled, but they're still basically experimental. So, if you see Racetams or Racetams advertised as brain boosters, remember that scientific support is limited to very specific cases, like certain cognitive disorders. They're not toxic, but they might not do much either. Always start with low doses and note how you feel, and never combine multiple powerful nootropics without medical guidance. We've talked about uses and studies, but safety first. This category of supplements has two big concerns. 1, potential health risks, and 2, product quality and legality. Side effects and interactions. We already saw how methylene blue can dangerously interact with antidepressants. Other examples, even so-called natural newts can have interactions. For instance, St. John's wort, an herb sometimes used for mood, can interfere with dozens of medications. Not a focal adaptogen here, but illustrates the point. Always check if a supplement may affect other drugs you take. Even too high doses of vitamins can cause problems. Large nicotinamide doses may cause liver stress. An overdose of even water-soluble vitamins could upset the body. When in doubt, consult a pharmacist or doctor. Product quality. The supplement industry is not tightly regulated. One key warning from USADA: BPC 157 is often sold illegally, and some websites advertise it for research only while still giving instructions for human use. If a product isn't FDA approved, the label might not accurately reflect contents. Look for third-party tested brands, USP or NSF certifications, or lab reports. For peptides, peptide companies online often sell research-grade stuff, but impurities or wrong doses can slip in. The USADA site explicitly says there's no legal basis for selling BPC 157 as a supplement. In plain language, be skeptical of anything that's sold as a research chemical for humans. Legality. We've noted BPC 157 is banned in sports. Methylene blue is legal. It's an old drug, but smart drug sales are unregulated. Racetams are mostly unregulated. Racetams is prescription in some countries, not in the US. Adaptogens and NAD precursors are generally legal as dietary supplements in many countries, but always double-check your local rules. For example, some countries may regulate new dietary ingredients, like NR had to be recognized by FDA before use in US products, which it did as Niagen. Genetic and metabolic testing. An emerging trend is tailoring nootropics to your DNA or lab results. Some biohackers sequence their 23andMe data and use software, NutriHacker, etc., to see if they have gene variants that affect nutrient metabolism or neurotransmitters. For example, if you're a slow caffeine metabolizer, CYP1A2 gene variant, genetic analysis might suggest cutting your coffee intake for better focus, or supplementing with choline instead. Similarly, blood tests can spot nutrient deficiencies or hormone imbalances. A doctor might then recommend targeted supplements, like vitamin B12 or hormone regulators. This personal approach is still new and not foolproof. As one expert noted, genetics is only part of the story. Diet, lifestyle, and environment also matter. But it is a growing practice. Reddit's Nootropics community and articles like Vice report many users are already plugging their DNA data into tools to customize their stack. If you do this, keep in mind it's one piece of the puzzle. Always validate recommendations with science. People on forums are a colorful source of stories. For example, one athlete, Jake, on a running forum, posted that after a severe hamstring injury, he tried BPC 157, injected by a doctor, and saw noticeable healing in a few weeks, while conservative advice said months. Meanwhile, A programmer, Sarah, tried daily ashwagandha to manage her anxiety and swore she sleeps better now. Are these true? We can't verify, but they illustrate how people feel about these supplements. What do statistics say? As mentioned, the markets for these products are huge and growing. Nearly 1 in 5 U.S. adults already used a brain health supplement in 2020. The demographic push is clear. As populations age, e.g., U.S. over 65 group is projected to swell in coming decades, more people will seek cognitive support. On the performance side, athletes and fitness fans are a big driver. The peptide industry notes a surge in sports-related use. Surveys also show rising interest. A 2020 NIH report found 18% of adults used brain-related supplements, up from previous years. Despite the buzz, skepticism is wise. Many claims out there are ahead of the evidence. For example, some companies claim Peptide X or Nootropic Y can reverse aging, but scientific backing for such bold claims is still limited or non-existent. The FDA has sent warning letters to supplement makers for making unproven disease claims. Always look for peer-reviewed studies, like the NMN and NR trials we cited, instead of just influencer hype. Educate yourself. Start with the well-studied stuff. Adaptogens like Rhodiola, Ashwagandha have human trials and are low risk. NAD boosters have emerging science behind them. Consult professionals. Talk with a healthcare provider who understands supplements. For peptides especially, a licensed doc can advise you and might help with reputable compounding pharmacies if needed. Start low and one at a time. When trying a new nootropic or peptide, use a small dose first to check tolerance. Do not combine multiple new substances at once. You won't know which one caused any effect, good or bad. Watch for side effects. Keep a log. Headaches, nausea, insomnia, jitteriness can all happen. If something feels off, stop. Quality over hype. Look for products tested by third parties. Beware of sketchy websites. If something is too good to be true, it probably is. Legal and health status. Make sure it's legal where you live. For example, some nootropics or peptides might be prescription only in certain countries. Peptides and nootropics are exciting frontiers, but remember, straight talk over hype. Some, like NAD boosters and adaptogen herbs, have real research supporting modest benefits and seem safe in recommended doses. Others, like BPC 157 or experimental smart drugs, remain unproven or risky. The truth is nuanced. Weigh the evidence, stay cautious, and prioritize your safety. If you learned something helpful, hit like and subscribe for more science-backed biohacking tips. Got questions or your own experiences? Share them in the comments. We read everyone. Remember, we're all on this journey together. Discuss supplements with friends, do your research, and consult doctors when in doubt. Stay curious, stay safe, and here's to your optimized health.